What was it like for you and your family in Cambodia?
Uh, it's very different from the family over here. I mean actually I never been real close to my family. I always like separate from them. I always like live with other people instead of my real parent, brother and sister. And I never have the kind of love that other people have in this country. It's like kind of separating.
Why was your family separated?
Well, for a long time, these communists took over the country and they start to make people work and stuff like that, and they separating kids and parents and brothers and sisters. And afterward, and they just keep us apart. And my parent escaped and everything, so like my father like went to Thailand and stuff like that, and he came over here, and I was over there by myself. So all those years like kind of really messed up. I really don't know who am I and where I came from, who's my parent now. I didn't even know my real name until 1988. 1986 my father sent my real name, and I started to memorize my own name, my own birth date and everything.
Articles 7 and 8. The child has the right to a name, a nationality, and to know and to be cared for by his or her parents or guardians. Articles 12, 13, 15, and 17. These articles say that children should have the right to express themselves freely.
We as young people feel that the American media's coverage of the war in the Persian Gulf gave children the wrong idea about how scary war really is for the people whose land was bombed.
In the December 9th, 1991 issue of Newsweek magazine, a new Purdue University study showed that in interviews with kids ages 3 to 11, given between July and October, Professor Judith Walls found that more than 2/3 of the youngsters referred to people dying when they referred to war in general. When they discussed the Persian Gulf War specifically, however, only 21% mentioned death at all.
We did some research on the effects of the Persian Gulf War. 30% of all children counted after the war were malnourished.
It is estimated by the Harvard study team and UNICEF that in Iraq, 400 kids die a day as a result of dirty water because of the bombings of all the water purification plants. Shortages of food, medical supplies, lack of chlorine and power to repair the water treatment and delivery system continue to grow while UN trade sanctions remain in place.
While the United States government says that the Cold War is over, the level of military spending has stayed the same. At the same time, people, homeless people, prisoners, and unskilled workers are not getting the care that they need.
Article 24 says that children have the right to good health care. It also says that expecting mothers get the care that they need to have healthy babies. Article 24 also suggests that the state do everything that it can to make sure that infant and child mortality do not increase. The state can do this by fighting disease and malnutrition through excellent health care that prevents death.
Articles 28 and 29. The child has a right to free primary education, equal access to full, decent education, and a school discipline which reflects the child's human dignity.
In school, I went to a public school in Texas, and a lot of the kids who were from wealthier families or who were white were pushed into the honors track, whereas I had to have my mom call the school and say, "Can Laura be in this honors class?" They assumed that because I wasn't white, I didn't have the ability to take these classes.
What was your guidance counselor like?
She wasn't very helpful at all. She was always pushing me into these classes that were too easy for me, and she didn't help me as far as getting into any colleges. She told me to apply to community college.
Well, it was really cool because it's Black History Month and everything, and we don't really learn a lot about Black History Month at my school. So this month I'm trying to I brought in a guest for Black History Month, and he's a black doctor, so I wanted to show it to my principal so we could get it for a library. And he's going to the coordinator so we could get it for the middle school library.
Quote, "The state shall ensure that education is directed at developing the child's personality and talents, preparing the child for responsible life in a free society, and developing respect for the child's parents, basic human rights, the natural environment, and the child's own cultural and national values and those of others."
Articles 14 and 30. Quote, "The child has a right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. The state shall respect the rights of parents or guardians to provide direction in the exercise of this right. Children of minority communities and or of the indigenous origin have the right to enjoy their own culture, practice their own religion, and use their own language." Unquote. Indigenous means native.
In the U.S., there are Mexican and Native Americans who remember being beaten for speaking their native language in school.
Article 31. This article says that children should have the right to have time to enjoy themselves. It also says that children must have a safe place to play and the right to rest and leisure.
Article 32. Article 32 says that children should not have to do work that will hurt the child in any way to support themselves and their families. The child has the right to be protected from having to work long, hard hours because it hurts their health and their mental, physical, spiritual, and social development.
Article 38. This article says that children should not have to fight in a war.
How will the convention promote and defend children's rights?
The convention will be used for teaching children about their own rights and about rights in other lands. It will be used by grassroots organizations to demand justice for children, and it will unite people everywhere, uniting them for action in the worldwide movement for the rights of children.
Every modern country has a parental leave policy except for the USA and South Africa. Parental leave means that pregnant mothers-to-be can take time off of work to prepare for childbirth, and that mothers and fathers can take time off to care for their children.